Sonny?
Yes, hold on one second.
Okay.
Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. I pledge allegiance
Yes.
to the flag
Flag
of the United States of
United
America
States
Of the United States of America.
and to the republic
and the Republic,
for which it stands,
and
one nation,
one nation,
under God,
under God,
Under God.
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
Indivisible.
liberty and justice for all.
With
justice
liberty
for all.
and justice for all.
Okay. Secretary Lombard is not yet present, but he advises he will be here at some point. So in his absence, I will take the roll. John Weldon, present. Bobby Brown,
Present.
Joseph Lombard, Sybil Allen,
Present.
Albert Benahan,
Present.
Sosimo Fabian,
Present.
Jessica Martinez, Joseph Skalovic,
Present.
Chris Taylor. Okay, we have a quorum. Before we go any further, there was an item that was requested by the School Building Committee to be placed on the agenda after the agenda was published. So I am going to ask for a motion to add the following item to the agenda. That item being discussion and possible approval of New Bassick High School project Phase 1 abatement and demolition. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, that just places it on the agenda. We haven't taken any action. And we'll discuss that at the beginning of the new business. For now, is there any public comment? Ms. Valier?
We did have one individual register and details were just provided for them to call in. However, I do not see the individual present or showing up as waiting to be let in.
All right, well, let's move on for now. Approval of minutes, first being May 3rd, 2021 special meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Allen. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Brown. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. May 6th, 2021 special meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Brown. Is there a second?
I'll second.
By
Second.
Mrs. Skalovic. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed?
Aye.
Okay, passed unanimously. May 10th, 2021 regular meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Skalovic. Is there a second?
Second.
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 Second by Ms. Allen. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. Chairman's report. The only thing I have to report is I was able to attend the year-end elementary level debate league. It was held at High Horizons this past week. Everybody was really impressive. Ms. Battaglia took the prize for the year, with High Horizons being runner-up. I want to congratulate everybody who participated throughout the year. It was not an easy thing, but everybody did a really good job, and I'm glad that they participated the way they did. I don't have anything to report beyond that, unless anyone has a question. Okay. Committee reports.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes, I would like to ask a question. How many schools participated?
It was there was 3 schools, Battaglia, High Horizons, and the 3rd school escapes me at the moment. But various schools participated over the course of the year and were whittled down to this final event.
Thank you.
Okay. Committee reports and referrals. Ad hoc district-wide branding initiative. Ms. Brown?
Yes, the ad hoc district branding committee met on May 19th. We had a few agenda items that were reported on. I, myself, and Mr. Benahan are happy to share that there's a new logo that's going to be sought after and created, including some of our own staff within the district. So that was one of our conversations. And then we also shared how we're going to actually do something where students will actually be able to participate in a campaign of some sort. It's still being planned out for social emotional learning. And this way they can create their artwork throughout the months of the new school year. So that's something that they can look forward to. I'm really excited to hear that. And we had an amazing meeting. The next thing that we talked about was Mr. Testani and his team are going to report back to the branding committee as well as the contracts committee, looking into finding our new district-wide communication system for the school year, making it where it includes all the different things that we wanted for the district, but also to making sure that it is going to be a good bang for our buck for the district as well. So I'm excited about that. And as we learn more about it, there'll be a report and it'll go through the proper channels and then be pushed to the full board. The next thing I would like to say is that Mr. Benahan and myself, we were able to ask Mr. Hassani and his team to prepare for the new school year for fall 2021 to 2022, what a communications outline will look like with COVID involved. Because last year we were caught off guard. This year we actually know what we're looking forward to. So that means, proper messaging that will go out throughout the district, whether that's newsletters, whether that's press release, whatever it may be, to give our parents a heads up as to how the new school year is going to run. I think that was so important, and I want to say thank you to Mr. Testani for working on that end of it to make sure we get ahead of our anything that may be coming to the district's way. And the final thing that we talked about was we weren't sure if we were going to actually have a meeting coming up for next month. We think we will meet as needed, only because our meeting date will be on the day of graduation. So we already know that we don't want to overpower us, because me and Mr. Benahan also attends graduations as well. So we'll play it by ear. And if there is a need for a meeting, we'll actually have a meeting coming up. But we don't have any pressing items at the moment. Other than that, that was our report. And thank you to everyone that participated and attended. And I'm excited to see where our committee continues to go.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Anyone have any questions for Ms. Brown? No? Okay. You are
I don't have a
released.
question,
You got a question?
Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Not a question, but a comment to Ms. Brown. It's like I don't know if that can be a question or refer to have for the next meeting. I don't know if we can have the 2 professional staff. I know one of them is Mr. Spinka, and I know Mr. Testani have the other one. They can join with us about the next meeting to talk about the logo, the process, the protocol. I would love to listen to them, so they're more professional, they have more experience, so they can let us know what we can do.
Mr. Chair, just to address that, I've reached out and spoke today to Ms. Robinson, and she is going to be working with her department to identify those who will be working on the logo. We could have some representatives from that group, and I will make sure they could be present. If it's after school ends, we'll have to work with their time, since they will not contractually be obligated as teachers to attend, but I will try to have some representation on those that would be working.
Okay.
Appreciate that, Mr. Testani. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. All right. Next item is Contracts Committee. Contracts Committee met this past week, and out of that committee came 3 of the agenda items that we have this evening, one being related to temporary services, the other being issuing bids for food and nutrition items, and then the extension of professional services agreement. So the next Contracts Committee meeting will be scheduled for the 4th Thursday of June, or as needed in between now and then. Is there any questions or any referrals? Okay. Educational diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Nothing to report. I have not scheduled a meeting. As I had said at the last meeting, I have really studied the numbers here, and I think maybe at the next regular board meeting, I'll go ahead and give a presentation on the numbers so that we can, see the diversity, the richness and diversity that the district has.
Okay. I might suggest that you have a committee meeting in the interim to go over those numbers with your committee people beforehand.
We'll do that.
Any referrals?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, this is getting kind of ridiculous. I'm sorry, but it's been 6 months now that the diversity committee has not met. We've already went over the diversity of our students and our staff, and we found that there's a great big chasm between personnel and student ratios of the various races. The committee was supposed to be working on this, and it seems the chair is incapable or unwilling to call a meeting, and he's abdicating his responsibilities and neglecting our children. If he cannot handle the responsibilities of calling a simple meeting, you as a chair should remove him and have somebody else placed in a position who is able to pick up the chair. The same thing happened with the Males of Color Committee for a whole entire year, and to not address this is the very definition of institutional racism and discrimination, and I think something needs to be done at this point.
Okay, well, he's preparing to give a presentation. He just said that, and so I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and let him do that. We've only got a couple of meetings left in the year. And if there's no progress in that regard, then we can make a change at that point. Facilities Committee. Next Facilities Committee meeting is scheduled for Monday, June 7th. Are there any referrals for that committee?
Yes, I have a referral, Mr. Chair.
What's that?
I would like to get information and an update with security. What I believe is I know Mr. Testani is part of it. I would like to hear from Lieutenant Greg or Mr. Colasso, what's going on with the security. I'd like to hear about what's going on with the budget, how's the process, everything, what's going on. We got a few months, we don't hear nothing from them. So I'd like to get some update from them.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Finance Committee?
Yes, the Finance Committee met on May 12th. We discussed the 2021 budget, which is still in a balance, appears to be finishing in a balanced condition.
The which budget? Current one?
Yeah, the current year budget is going to finish in a balanced condition. And the 21-22 budget discussion was also had, and it included the fact that if ESSER funding is needed to cover escalated costs, we will have a structural deficit, which will only grow year to year, that we are underfunded by the city and state. And it will just keep compounding until ESSER funding runs out, and then we will have a massive cliff and massive cuts to face. I find it alarming that we're not really worrying about it as much. It's not on the radar. It's on the radar at the finance meetings, but this is terrifying to me because in 24-25 school year, we could face possibly $20 million in cuts to existing services, not the services that the COVID fundings are adding, but in existing services. So the services we see today could possibly be cut by $20 million at that point. We also discussed ESSER funding and the balances. ESSER 1 and 2 balances are basically getting zeroed out with the spending plans, and ESSER 3, for want of a better term, is being planned right now, and paperwork is going to be submitted as soon as the plan is put together.
Okay.
And that's all I have for finance. And the next finance meeting will be June 9th. And we may have to meet over the summer too with all the ESSER funding hanging out there.
Mr. Testani and or Ms. Siegel, if you know yet or can project, when will you be in a position, you think, to present what you feel will be a balanced budget for the coming fiscal year?
Ms. Siegel and I will have that conversation, and I'm anticipating at the next or the last board meeting of the year.
That you'll be able to make a presentation of that nature, or that you'll know the answer better?
I think we'll have a better answer at the next meeting for sure.
Okay, good enough. Anyone else?
I gotta refer for finance.
Referral for finance?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like to know, Mr. Joe, if you give me an update for the next meeting, if they're gonna hire more security, cafeteria, custodian, how's that budget work for that? I just want to know if they're gonna be hiring more. You know, if you can bring me some information in your
So you mean
in your committee.
So you mean,
Sorry?
to be clear, do you mean additional staff or replacement for existing
Yeah.
staff?
I believe it. Yeah, additional staff because I believe they short staff in few departments. So I just want to know if they got money. There's a budget for that.
I'm just wondering. Yeah, I don't mind putting it, but I'm wondering if that might be more of a personnel / finance
A staffing issue?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if it's a good fit or not for.
I mean, I think it's a really frontline question. You should probably just have a sideline conversation with Mr. Testani.
I agree.
What he feels the staffing needs are.
There is no number of individuals in any department that is statutorily required. We staff based on need. At this point, we'll assess all our departments and see what needs need to be filled in terms of personnel, but we could have that conversation. I don't think that needs to formally go to a committee. We could have an offline conversation to discuss that. Some people may feel, there's, enough staff right now. There may be some that feel that more is needed, or some may feel that we have too much. I mean, it's really based on enrollment. It's based on what needs we have here in the district. So
Mr. Stanley, you will give me, this depend if you tell you how much budget we have. Is the budget separate for the for hiring, security, cafeteria, stuff like that, or is this part of the whole budget? Or
it's part of the whole budget. And as Mr. Sokolovic has just mentioned, we're not going to use federal funds to plug holes and add additional staffing in areas where then once we create the large deficit at the end of this funding, that people would then lose their jobs. And I've said this a million times, that we cannot cut services to students directly in the classroom, particularly at the end of a pandemic. Unfortunately, there may be collective bargaining units who have interests, that are separate from those of the districts.
All right, Mr. Stanley, thank you. I will contact you so you can give me some information. Thanks.
Sure.
Okay, next is governance. Governance committee is scheduled to meet also on Monday, the 7th. There are some items that it was previously discussing relative to magnet school policy and remote participation in meetings, and we will pick up those discussions where we left off with them. Are there any further referrals?
I have one, Mr. Chair.
Okay,
And I believe we talk about this, and I just trying to bring it back again. It's in one of is about the policy we have for the Bridgeport Board of Education bylaws, and I'm talking about the policy 9240. So it's something that we had to speak, and now we talk about this, that how we can communicate much better. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Testani.
What is
Communicate much better with
9240?
9240. 9240. To see how we can get more communication, very work together, especially with Mr. Testani and including with the staff. I know it's a lot of issues in something people they complain, and I see it by personal that and Mr. Testani sent an email that no staff communicate with the board members. That I don't agree with that, because I know how far we as a board member we can go, and what we can talk and communicate with the staff. Some situation that we are not is not our protocol, we cannot handle. That's why they have situation that unions, lawyers, that's not our job. But listen to them and talk to them. For me, that's very important, because I've always say this. Mr. Titani was voted for 9 board members to be a superintendent school. Us like a board member, we was vote elected official for staff, for parent, student over 18 years old, and we like to communicate with them. I'm a person that if they call me or text me, whatever, I like to listen to them. So that's why I bring this for your governance, that what we can do as a team, working together, everyone as what we are. Mr. Chair.
Okay. Personnel Committee, I don't think there's been any activity there.
There hasn't been any activity there.
Which is typical. Students and families.
Student and family, yes. We're supposed to meet the 20, but I didn't have the chance yet because I'm searching, Mr. Chair, and everyone. A lot of information about a lot of vendors, a lot of leaders, things they are not going very well. And I'm not happy, and my committee, they really know that. And I'm searching a lot of vendors. They're using the money they're supposed to be for the parents. They're not using the money the way it's supposed to be. They're using the money for the schools and think they don't supposed to. If you know, we got the white district, the citywide PAC members. They're using the money, but they don't have PAC. They don't have PTSO. So I'm wondering who's signing that papers, who's ordering stuff. We not let them know the parents. So my next meeting is gonna be this Thursday, the 27th at 5:30, Chair. Mr. Chair, that's it.
Okay. Any referrals? Teaching and learning, Mr. Skolovic.
Yes, Teaching and Learning Committee did not meet in the interim since the last meeting, but we will be meeting tomorrow virtually at 5:30 p.m.
Okay. Any referrals? Okay. Superintendent's report, Mr. Testani.
Yes, I just want to share one screen just to bring to everyone's attention. I know we've said this a number of times, but I still get some communication that families are not aware. I would just like to share my screen just quickly visually. Let me know when you see the screen.
Yeah, I see it.
All right, so this is the high school graduation schedule for everyone. If you'd like to take notes, I will send this to the board as well. If you have not received it already. All the ceremonies will be held at the Bridgeport Amphitheater, the new amphitheater that replaced Bluefish Harbor Yard. So it's going to be a great day. I'm hoping that all board members can attend at least one ceremony to support our students. So just want to make sure that gets posted out there. I know a lot of folks will watch this meeting maybe later on off YouTube, so at least they'll have that opportunity to share, as well as the students will be receiving tickets at a later time. We do have some other events that are popping up. We'll share with all the board members as well. The 8th grade sixth grade, pre-K, kindergarten ceremonies that will all be coming during the week of June 14th. So, I mean, those are not usually well attended by board folks, but if you do have the opportunity to stop by one of the schools, we'll get those times and dates to you as well. Other than that, we continue to move along to the end of the school year. I don't want to address some of the things that have been brought up prior. I know they will be referred to committee. We do have some items on the agenda that need to be passed tonight. So other than that, it's been pretty quiet. We have into the home stretch of the end of the school year. And again, I just want to say that it's been a tremendous job done by all here in the school district. Lunch folks, food and nutrition, custodians, security, paraprofessionals, clerical, administrators, teachers, you name it, to make us get to this point of the school year successfully. It's been quite a challenge, but the feedback has been positive. We're looking forward to planning for the reopening, a full reopening of school in the fall. It is the hiring season. As you can imagine, over the next several months, we'll be onboarding anywhere from, I'm going to say, from 100 to 150 or more this year, based on some of the additional staff that are going to be added to help provide support to our youngest learners into the Bridgeport Public Schools. So it's an exciting time here in Bridgeport. You know, we've already begun to see some of the new teachers that have been onboarded and extremely talented group of individuals who want to come here and help support and teach our students. So that's all I have for tonight.
Anyone have any questions?
I don't have no question, but I have a comment to Mr. Testani.
Okay.
Mr. Testani, I'd like to, and you know, it's a rumor about things that don't look nice, and I'm not happy with that, and we really talk about that. But I'd like to know if you can give me some information, a little small report about Bassett High School. What's going on with Bassett High School?
Well, as you can see, tonight we added an agenda item. I think that gives everyone a clear understanding that we're moving forward with the beginning of this Bassett new high school project. I'm excited. I know Michelle and Larry are here as well, as including Mr. Banks, one of our architects. It's going to be an extremely beautiful and state-of-the-art high school. Well overdue, as many of you know. Bassett High School, the original building, opened in 1929. So I think by the time this project is completed, we'll near 100 years of that building. I think it's time that our students on the west and south end of Bridgeport have the opportunity. That is the last high school that needs to be built or renovated. And I think I'm excited. I'd like to start yesterday. Michelle and Larry know that. I've been pushing. I know there's been some small hiccups along the way. And there's some folks that may not like to see the Bassett project move forward, but this project will be moving forward. And tonight you'll get a report on phase one of how that's going to proceed. And that's pretty much it. And I think, you know, it's going to take a little bit of time to get phase one started, just because of the process we need to go forth in abatement and demolition. But I'm excited to see this start pop most likely around September.
So another word, my Bassett, our Bassett is going forward and it's going positive.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. We're moving forward, and I'm happy with where we're going.
Thank you, Mr. Stein. Thank you. No more questions, Mr. Chair.
On that note, are we ready to take up the first action item, which is discussion and possible approval of new Bassett High School project, phase one, abatement and demolition? Okay, I'm going to yield the floor to Mr. Schilling. I don't know if you want to start the discussion or if you want to defer to Mr. Banks.
I will start the discussion. Basically, we're here with phase one of the project. It's approximately 9.8 million, and it's part of the document that the board needs to sign, that they've seen the drawings, the specs, they've heard about the budget, that John, you need to sign. It's a part of the paperwork we need to take to the state. What I'd like to be able to do, hopefully, is meet with the state in the middle of June. We still have some documents yet we need to get signed. We need to get the building official to sign the cover sheet of the drawings and specs. We need the fire marshal to sign those documents. We need the health department to sign those documents, and the city's 504 Americans with Disabilities person to sign those documents. Once we get those documents signed, then I believe Mike has signed all the paperwork that he needs to sign, and we'll be ready to go to the state. So now I will turn it over to Joe Banks.
Well, thank you, Larry. May I present my screen?
Sure. You need to help him with that, Michael?
There we
All
go.
set, Joe.
Okay, thank you. Okay, can everybody see my screen now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. So as Mr. Testani said earlier, it's very exciting that we are moving forward. This is the demolition and abatement set. And really this has three parts to it. One is the demolition of the buildings themselves. One is the demolition and capping of some of the utilities that go through the space. And the third part is making sure that erosion controls and everything are in place properly. I just want to zoom in briefly on the site. Everybody can see this as well?
Yes.
Okay, good. So you can see two main buildings here. One is the former North-South Hall, which is going to get demolished. One is Bodine Hall here, which is going to be demolished. A couple of other minor buildings. There's a garage in this corner where my cursor is, and there's a house here that the university owned that will be demolished. It's worth noting that this house is going to stay through a lot of construction and essentially be used as a construction trailer. So we've documented the existing conditions. I just want to show you briefly what the demolition plans look like. So basically, we point to the building, say, take the building down. We're also looking at site elements such as disposing of concrete walls, chain link fences, etc. We note anything that we think that the demolition or abatement contractor will need to keep in mind as they're doing their bid and as they're doing their actual work. Also going to zoom in on just a typical area of the site utility plan. So there's a whole lot of utilities running through here, and we've been in dialogue for the last 3 or 4 months with the utility companies and representatives from both UB and the city. So at this point, everyone's pretty comfortable with what is underground right now and what is going to be taken out. As you can see, in some instances, we're cutting in capping services, and in other instances, we're removing services entirely. So those are to make sure that the school building gets the services that it needs once it's able to be built, and also that the surrounding neighborhood still has the infrastructure of utilities that they need and expect. The last part has to do with sedimentation and erosion controls. These are all the things that our civil engineers tell us to put in place so that during the period of time after something's been demolished. Sounds like there's an echo or something. Oh, now it's gone. Okay. So that when after things have been demolished and earth is being moved around, that if a rainstorm hits, that suddenly all that topsoil doesn't suddenly wash out over Main Street and down into the Sound. With that, are there any questions so far?
If you have a question so far, please raise your hand. Okay, continue, Mr. Banks.
Sure. So these drawings get into a little more detail of exactly what's in place. We've got a plan, we've got an aerial view, and this again gives some pretty detailed idea of exactly what the contractor is supposed to take down, how they're supposed to remove it, etc. Again, we've taken photographs of all these buildings as well so that folks can see the existing conditions and take into account anything that's not actually on the plans. And we've also included, as best we can, the construction of, for instance, the Bodine Hall demolition, so that when they're taking it apart, they can understand without having to dig into the building exactly how things are going to come apart and pre-plan their demolition. And that's really basically it. I can certainly answer any questions, or you guys can move on towards the approval portion of the meeting.
Okay. All right. Again, I'll ask anyone, do you have any questions? If you do, please raise your hand. Mr. Benahan, you have a question?
Yes, I have a question about Mr. Larry. I know he said that amount, how much million, you know, how much was the amount you said in the beginning, because I didn't catch it very fast.
The demolition is approximately 4.2 million. The abatement is approximately 5.6 million.
All right, thank you, Mr. Larry. No more question, Mr. Chair.
Anyone else? Okay. In that event, I'm going to seek an approval of the new Bassett High School project, Phase 1, abatement and demolition, as presented by the project architect. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Who's that?
Sakalovic.
Mr. Sakalovic. Moved by Mr. Sakalovic. Is there a second?
Second by Mr. Benahan.
Second by Mr. Benahan. Oh, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Banks.
Thank you
Mr.
very
Schilling, let me know whenever it is you need me to.
I will get you the documents as soon as they're signed by the chair of the school building committee.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next on the agenda is discussion and possible approval of contracts for temporary non-certified staff services for the period of July 1, 2021 to June 30, 2024 with Kelly Services Incorporated, Global Solutions Group Incorporated, and Midtown Personnel Incorporated, which is doing business as the Midtown Group. I believe this is Ms. Siegel.
Yes, good evening to everyone. An RFP was issued for temporary non-certified staffing services. There were 11 bidders. An evaluation committee rated the 11 proposals. Based on the ratings, we ranked the proposals. And as presented to the contracts committee on May 20th, we indicated that the top 3 ranked bidders were selected for the development of contracts. The top 3 were Kelly Services, Global Solutions Group, and Midtown Group. The 3 contracts are similar in structure and content. The 3 contracts were reviewed by the city attorney and contain all of the required elements for a Board of Ed contract, and they are in compliance with the RFP. Each contract includes an Exhibit A, which is the rate schedule, and an Exhibit B, which consists of the job descriptions for the position titles that are currently included in the rate schedule. These are Board of Education job descriptions that were provided to the companies and are now included as part of the contracts. At present, in Exhibit A, the rate schedule, there are 5 titles: accounting specialist, clerical assistant, clerical specialist, computer technician, and data analyst. The 3 contracts would be in effect from July 1 of 2021 through June 30th of 2024. We did include in the contract a provision that would enable the district, with the approval of the Board of Education, to extend the contracts by 1-year terms or 2-year terms. And that, of course, would be subject to mutual agreement of the board and the vendor. In terms of the process, once the contracts are in place, the CFO must authorize all requests for temporary non-certified staff services. The CFO will give written authorization in an email communication to the Assistant Director of Human Resources. The Assistant Director of Human Resources will then submit the request for services to the selected vendor. The vendor will be determined by the lowest price. If the selected vendor is not able to fulfill our need in a timely manner, then the Assistant Director in Human Resources will contact the second vendor, which will be the next lowest price in our rate tables. Each contract also includes the provision which requires that in recruiting and selecting contract employees for employment opportunities in the Bridgeport School District, Kelly will give preference, each of the vendors, I'm reading from the Kelly contract, will give preference to the employment of Bridgeport residents. So this was a requirement that we included in the RFP at the request of the Board of Education, and it is a standard provision in each of the contracts. Thank you. Are there any questions?
Anyone have a question?
No question, but I just want to say thank you for the addition of the last provision, and I hope that the board, as it moves forward, more likely than not, without me, requires that provision in many, if not most, of the contracts that it chooses to approve. That, to me, is called fiscal equity. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else?
No question from me.
Okay. All right. So I'll seek a motion to approve the contracts as presented by the CFO for temporary non-certified staff services for the period of July 1, 21 to June 30, 24 with Kelly Services Incorporated, Global Solutions Group Incorporated, and Midtown Personnel Incorporated.
So moved, Sakalovic.
Moved by Mr. Sakalovic. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Fabian. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Thank you, Ms. Siegel.
Thank you.
Next is discussion and possible approval to issue solicitation of bids for food and nutrition items for the 2021-2022 school year. This is Mr. Garrity's item, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, can I be heard?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll start by saying good evening. Last week's contracts committee meeting question came up regarding bid extension by the committee chair. And there is language in the bid specifications that are under section 10 contracts. Number 4, the contracts are renewable for an additional 1 year at the discretion of the Bridgeport Board of Education. We currently have also in the City of Bridgeport purchasing ordinances, they allow up to 3 years of bid extension. We're not asking for that tonight. It's only a 1-year extension. There are currently 8 companies that have agreed to extend their bid pricing for 21-22. And I think I would recommend that we take advantage of their bid extension due to there's inflationary pressures on food costs, as is evidenced by the pricing that we see rising in all food commodities at the present.
So I think we've started a little bit in reverse. You're at this point seeking authorization to go out to the market to solicit bids for the various food items that the nutrition center uses. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And then you would bring back those bids to the board for the final approval.
Correct.
But there are 5 suppliers that have indicated they would hold their prices firm for the coming year.
There's actually 8.
8 for the items that they currently provide.
That's correct.
Okay. Does anyone have any thoughts or questions?
I do.
Ms. Allen?
I'm really disappointed in the food services that have gone on all of these years. They feed our upper grade children in the elementary section of the school the same food they feed the kindergarten and the portions. That's what I'm saying. You cannot feed a 7th and 8th grader the same portion that you feed a kindergarten and a first grade person. So I think there should be some meeting of the minds as to how they're going to do this. They just always just weld in one type of food. When I say one portion of food for everybody. And I don't think that's fair to the upper grade children.
Okay. Anyone else have anything to say?
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Uh-huh.
I agree what Ms. Allen said. I don't know what's going on. I don't know, to tell you the truth, I don't know what's going on. They serve some food, and I know I already report this with Mr. Testani. And I agree what Ms. Allen said. I don't know why they serve the food to the high schools. Another kid, when they're supposed to be hot meal, everything's cold, everything is sandwiched, everything's packaged, and sometimes they are short of food. So I don't know, Mr. Gary, can you explain me a little bit about that, or you, Mr. Testani? So I just want to know what's going on with our students for Bishop School. They're not giving the hot breakfast or the hot things in the morning, or in the afternoon, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll let Mr. Garrity respond. I'm not aware that we're not serving any hot meals, that we're serving only cold meals. I was under the impression that we are serving as we would normally do during the course of the year, any other year, just with different processes and procedures in place in terms of serving the food, not what food is being served.
Okay, if I may respond, regarding Mr. Benahan's statement, Mr. Benahan, we do provide a hot breakfast and a hot lunch. However, due to COVID-19 situation that we're currently still in, we do provide grab-and-go meals that are not heated for parents to pick up and take home for their remote learning children. And those that are in-school learners are getting the meals that they normally would get during pre-COVID times. The service throughout the schools varies by school. Some students still eat in the classroom. Some come to the cafeteria and go through the lunch service line. Others are seated in the dining room and the food is delivered to them. Over the past few weeks, we've seen a little relaxation of some of the stringent rules that were in place prior. We're slowly and surely getting back to normal. And by next school year, we plan to fully implement in-school learning, and we will be providing full services in the cafeteria, again, based on each school's individual needs.
Okay.
Mr. Garrity, just to clarify for Mr. Benahan, on the grab-and-go meals, similar to last year during closure in the summer, some of those meals can be heated once they get home as a hot meal, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Okay.
Excuse me,
Go ahead,
this
Ms.
is
Allen.
Allen. I still have concerns about the portions that you feed. You feed the kindergarten through the 8th graders the same meal, the same portion. And I just think that our older children in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade deserve a larger portion of food.
So if I may reply to that.
So how will you fix that?
Well, Ms. Allen, the portion size are regulated by federal regulation, which we follow stringently. The menus that are offered in the elementary K through 8 schools, students are offered the full complement of components, and then they select the items that they wish to consume. They are not required to take all 5 items, as long as they take a minimum of 3 items of what is being offered. That is considered a reimbursable meal. So we are a regulated program. The high school students get an entirely different menu with larger portion sizes than the K-8 students. And we also have, pre-COVID, as you know, share tables within a school cafeteria where someone that takes an item and they thought they were going to consume it, but then did not, they can place it on the share table. Anyone that's extra hungry can then approach the table for that item. And of course, the population from kindergarten through grade 8, they follow the same meal pattern as established by the federal government.
Mr. Garrity, I have a question just to Ms. Allen's point.
Sure.
If we ran, as some other school districts do, separate elementary and separate middle school buildings, would they both receive the same meal, or would there be a differential such as we do with the high schools? Because I remember being in a different school district at one time, and the middle school children were served a much different meal than the elementary school children. And I'm sure some of those kids, it was a free or reduced lunch.
So yes, we provide universal free meals to everyone in the district. That's accomplished through community eligibility provision that we qualify for 100% reimbursement at the free rate. Regarding the menu, we normally serve the same menu in the K through 8 schools, including those schools that only go up to grade 5 or 6. They receive the same menu. They're offered the same items that they select from. So they have 5 components every day. They have a bread item, a entree, which is a protein. They have dairy and fruits and vegetables that they can select from. They're not required to take all the components, and a lot of times they do not take them. And so that's how the students themselves select based on their appetite.
So there would be no differential in if we had a middle school building as opposed to an elementary school building, say on the portion of lunch.
And they follow the same meal pattern. The requirement for the quantity of food, the weight of the food to be offered is the same.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, can I?
Albert, go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Gary, what time they prepared the food in the nutrition center, you know, when they prepared everything to send it out to the students for the school?
Our production kitchen runs every day. Our food gets delivered to the schools fresh every morning. Our drivers leave our building, our facility at on staggered time schedules. We have our first drivers going to the schools as early as 6:15 a.m. A few other drivers come in a half an hour later, and then the reason for that is so that we can efficiently utilize the loading dock area, which only has 3 bays. So we have 5 routes, and that requires 5 trucks, so we stagger them. Most of the food is delivered to the schools by 10 a.m., and that's how we arrange. The high schools do get direct delivery on their bread items. The elementary schools, they receive their bread items from our facility. Every school gets a direct delivery on dairy products, milk, and any other dairy product. And then we have Wade Dairy delivering orange juice every morning fresh to the schools.
No, that's not that. Okay, thank you, Mr. Yeah, but my question is, what time they start preparing the food in your nutrition center? Packing, you know, when we in the kitchen, you know, that's my question. What time they start?
Okay. So our plant manager, who is also our production manager, he starts his day at 6:30 a.m. Our production manager, she starts her day at 6:30 a.m. also. Our employees arrive to work. Normal start time is 7:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. And all the meals are prepared during that time.
All right. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. No more questions, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Does anyone else have a question? I'm gonna say that I think that we should be bidding out all the items. We're only gonna
I
know.
have another question. Excuse me, I have another question.
You do, Ms. Allen? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm still asking that you serve, and there's a lot of waste in the lunch program, a tremendous amount of waste. What they do is they don't have them packaged according to a child's grade level or his ability to consume that product that they are making. So I think we have a lot of waste. And, you know, I've witnessed it myself because I've been in the school system. I was there for many, many years. And I think there should be something to, how shall I say, give more food to the older children than you give the same lunch to the 8th graders as you do kindergarten. What can you do to rectify that problem?
Okay, as I mentioned earlier, all the meal components that meet the federal
Yes.
regulations are offered to students. They don't necessarily take all of the items. So the lower grade students may opt not to take the full meal that's offered to them. So by taking that approach, which by the way is a change from the earlier federal regulations that required students to take all 5 meal components, that was the law at one time. That did result in quite a bit of plate waste, and they since redid the regulations. They revised the regulations to where we have to offer the 5 components and students take a minimum of 3 to qualify as a reimbursable meal. The same thing applies for breakfast. They do not have to take everything that's offered to them, but there's also opportunities for them to get extra food if one of their classmates or another person in the dining area places an item they took onto the shared table. Shared table is there so those students with that are extra hungry, that have a large appetite, can also get additional food product.
Okay. Anything else?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I have something fast to Mr. John. What was the different, right now, what is the menu for high school and the calories and nutrition for them? Are they, of the students, are they eating very well? Are they happy with the meal, you know, and stuff like that? Because I know years back, they have some Chinese, they got rice, they got something they enjoy, they got tacos, they got burritos. Now they what I see from the students, I'm talking about high schools. I agree with what Ms. Allen said. They say what happened with the other food, you know, and that's that's nutrition. We have to be sure you guys are be healthy. But the food was before it was healthy for them. They would enjoy. It was less put in the garbage. Now I see, and I agree with Ms. Allen. They waste so much food. It's so painful when I see so much food going in the garbage when there's a lot of people hungry and, you know, outside. So what is the difference about this menu now? You can tell me.
So during the current school year, Mr. Benahan, we had to deal with the pandemic. So as a result, we had to tailor our menu not only for the students that are in-school learners, but also those that selected to or opted to be remote learners. And at the beginning of the school year, we were doing a hybrid model where you could only attend school 2 days out of the 5. So we had to react to tailor our menu to items that we could successfully package to send home with students. We also provided meals to students that, for example, went to school on Monday and Tuesday. They were provided with meals for the rest of the week when they exited the building, if they opted to take them. And we tried to provide many options to them. It's not a typical school year where everyone is attending school in person. So that was perhaps the reason you're seeing a menu that's slightly different than in the past.
Okay.
No, I know, Mr. Garvey, yeah, that's very different. I understand, and it very obviously because the pandemic of the coronavirus, stuff like that. But now the kids that are going back to school, it will be good, you know, kids eat something what they like. Because I know one of the schools, it was giving a call for breakfast all the time, and there was lunch. When I bring this, it's because I know parents and students call me. I will not be wasting my time telling you what the parent or the student they telling me, because I believe them. And when I talk to them, they show me the proof. So it's a little more like Ms. Allen said, we need to go more I don't know what we can do to much better have a more healthy food for the students. I know it's healthy, but the high school is there, especially when they do sport. No more question, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We've gotten a little bit off topic, talking about whether or not we're going to go out to bid to buy the food that will be eaten next year. So going back into that discussion, I know that some providers have indicated that they would be willing to keep their pricing the same. I'm always of the school that you never know what price you're going to get until you go out to the market. Keeping the price the same may be advantageous, it may not be. And if the providers who are willing to keep their price the same are going to do that, then that's the bid that they will submit. And if somebody submits a lower bid, then we'll know that we got a better price. And if they kept their bid the same, then we know that that's just the way it is. So I, for one, am in favor of putting all the items out for bid like we do every year. It does no harm, and it may yield us the best price depending on the item. Is there any other comment from any board members? All right, then I'll seek a motion to go out to bid for all food items with the resulting bids to be returned to the board for final approval before any awards are made. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Allen. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. All right, motion carries. The discussion you all were having about portion sizes and I guess portion control and things like that, you know, maybe that's worth having a discussion at the committee level, either at, I guess, maybe Mr. Benahan's committee, maybe Mr. Sokolovic, I'm not sure. But if there are concerns about what size quantities or portions students are being served and are being limited to, you should have that discussion and find out a way to control it, if there is a way.
Mr. Chair, just briefly, I think
Yeah.
we could have that at, I'll ask Mr. Gary to provide me with all the information, but I did a quick search as we were having the discussion. And they are broken into 3 categories of age groups. There does not seem to be much differential by the federal guidelines on school lunches of the portion size between elementary and middle. In the grains area, there could be an extra ounce, it seems, but I'd like to get all the information in a concise package to get to the board.
So they pretty much leave it up to the district?
No, they pretty much are prescriptive in how much we can serve in cups and ounces at every grade level.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I'll get that information from Mr. Garrity and put it in a nice, neat package for the entire board to
Okay.
reference.
Fair enough. Okay, thank you, Mr. Garrity. You're free to stick around if you'd like, but otherwise, if you have other things to do, you can go.
Thank you.
Discussion. Okay. Discussion and possible referral to the full board to approve second amendment, the second amendment of the professional services agreement with the university school for expelled student education services. Is this a Testani item?
Yeah, just briefly, I know Dr. Black did a lot of legwork, and I appreciate.
Is Dr. Black here? Does he need to?
He's here. Just want to say we currently had a contract, as you all know, with the university school. They have a special ed component that they service some of our students, and then we also have a contract with them to provide the educational component for students that are expelled for egregious actions through the hearing process. We consulted with our attorney. Since we did have a COVID year, we do have the ability to extend that contract by 1 year before going out to put an RFP out. We'd like to exercise that option simply because we'd like to have that time to possibly come up now with a program in-house that we're able to service those kids ourselves if if it's cost effective. And with all the things we've learned through the COVID-19 pandemic, there may be some creative ways that we're able to provide teaching and learning to those students in district rather than put out an RFP. So that is the ask for this evening, to give us a year of planning. They will stay flat in their costs, and we will continue for the year with the university school. And then from there, if we cannot at some point by maybe end of January, if we think that it may be something that we don't want to do here in-house, we will put out an RFP for 22-23 school year.
Okay. Anyone have any questions? Yeah, so it's the usual thing. We do this every 3 years, and then we added these option years so that we can extend these things the way Mr. Testani just described. Dr. Black, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Not at this time. Mr. Testani pretty much covered the main points.
Okay, thank you, sir. Anyone have any questions? Okay, then I'd seek a motion to enter into the second amendment to the contract with the university school for this contract as presented by staff.
So moved.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Sokolovic. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Allen. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. That brings our meeting to an end unless anyone has anything to add. All right, I'll
I'd like
seek a
to add
motion to.
something, Mr. Chair. Hold on, Mr. Chair.
What?
I'd like to add something, and we show this for the record. And I want to say this, I'm not offending nobody, but I'm saying this because this is the way I feel. As a board members, we have to work together as a team. We cannot be throwing each other, you don't do this, you don't do that. You know, it's going to be good. Call me, text me, are you okay? We can do something. Other thing is sometimes when you don't talk, and sometimes your body language say a lot. And we have to understand there's a lot of people around it watching us. And we don't want nothing negative they say about board education. We are not perfect. We're human, but we need to understand that we will have to work like a team and the best thing for the children. That's what I want to say, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
So moved. Sybil Allen.
Moved by Ms. Allen. Is there a second?
Second from Mr. Benehan.
By Mr. Benahan. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, we're adjourned.
Aye.
Time is 7:53 p.m. The next meeting will be on June 7th, which is a little earlier than normal because of when school closes. So we'll see you all on the night of the 7th.
Good night, everyone. God bless you all.
Thank you.
Goodbye.